Welcome, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. This is SnPSports. I'm your host, Ryan Showtime Velasquez, and with me,
Matt Popcorn Knife Mauler.
Today, it's going to be part 404 for our AFC showcase. Right now, we're going to be talking about the AFC South. The 2012 standings for the AFC South are the Houston Texans at 12-4, 5-1 in the division. Indianapolis Colts 11-5, 4-2 in the division. Tennessee Titans 6-10, 1-5 in the division, and the Jacksonville Jaguars 2-14, 2-4 in the division. Playoff teams were Houston, who lost in the divisional round of the playoffs to the New England Patriots, and then the Indianapolis Colts lost in the wild card round to the Baltimore Ravens. To start things off, we're going to be starting to talk about the Houston Texans.
Enjoy. All right, so we're going to start things off, as Ryan said, with the Houston Texans. Last year, they obviously won the division. The only key addition I have for Houston is safety Ed Reed from the Baltimore Ravens. You got any key additions, Ryan?
No key additions for me.
All right. They have the 7th-ranked offense, 11th in passing, 8th in rushing, and they have the 7th-ranked defense. So they're a pretty good team. I thought they were going to the Super Bowl last year, but they obviously fell short. Do you think they actually break that wall and make a deeper run this year, Ryan?
I don't think so. I think the AFC is a pretty tough division, and even the NFC is pretty tough. But right now, they're going to have to go through Denver and New England and maybe Indianapolis, and then, Pittsburgh and the Ravens are always tough from the North Division too. So I think it's going to be pretty difficult. They're going to have to, play some sound games, but I don't see them making it to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah. Matt Schaub and Arian Foster had pretty good years last year. Arian Foster. Adrian Foster, wow. Got my running backs messed up, I guess. He led the league in touchdowns. He had 15 touchdowns, and he had 1,424 yards, which is 6th in the league. Matt Schaub had 4,000 yards, roughly, 22 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. So, I think the Texans are going to be pretty good this year. I think it's nice to have another team be competitive in this league. I kind of wish the Texans were this decent when Payne was there, because then it'd been more fun. But the Colts were still competitive with them last year, and it's going to be interesting to watch them play. You got anything else on the Texans, Ryan?
I got Andre Johnson, one of the best receivers in the league. He had 1,600 yards, but he only had 4 touchdowns on the season. So, you're going to look for more production from him in the end zone. And he also had 5 games of less than 60 yards and 5 or less catches. So, he was a big target for some games, but in some games it was like he wasn't even there. Also, they got Owen Daniels at tight end who caught 6 touchdowns, which is pretty good. If you can get the tight end involved in the game, that just creates more matchup issues. J.J. Watt is the star on the defense, and, look for him to be a defense player of the year and maybe even MVP. He had a killer season last year with 20.5 sacks and 16 PBUs, so it's a pretty good defensive end for you to have.
Yeah, their defense was really solid last year. That's just at 7th. I think they're only going to get better this year, so look for them to be a really top-tier AFC team. So next we're going to talk about...
Oh, my bad. I got one more thing. One thing that is working against them, though, is their schedule. They've got Seattle, San Francisco, the Colts twice, Patriots, and the Broncos. So that's 7 games right there that are going to be pretty tough for them to get by.
For sure. So stay tuned.
6 games, my bad.
6 games, yeah, for sure. So stay tuned. Next we're going to talk about our home team, the Indianapolis Colts. We continue our talk about the AFC South by talking about our home team, the Indianapolis Colts. Last year the Colts did a lot better than I think most people thought they're going to with a rookie quarterback. But the key additions I have for Indianapolis are quarterback Matt Hasselbeck, wide receiver Darius Hayward-Bay, and running back Ahmad Bradshaw. You got any other key additions, Brian?
Nope, those are the only key additions I've got.
Yeah. Matt Hasselbeck's going to be a game changer, I'm telling you, man.
Of course, we want the ball, we're going to win. Score, my bad. I fucked that all up.
2012 offense was 10th ranked, 7th in passing, 22nd in rushing, and the offense was ranked 26th last year. So, jump right into it. It's Andrew Luck's second year. Last year he had a great rookie year. You know, there's talks about him winning Rookie of the Year. Obviously he didn't, but last year he threw for 4,374 yards, which is an NFL rookie record, 23 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions. One game he threw 433 yards, which is a pass yards per game rookie record. So he really came out of the gate and really had a positive impact on the Colts. Do you think he's got a sophomore slump, or do you think he's going to do as well as he did last year, Ryan?
Well, with all the other sophomore quarterbacks, I think they're all going to have, the sophomore slump that usually they have in the second year. But for Andrew Luck, I just see that the offense that he came from with Stanford and the type of player that he is, and being the intelligent guy that he is, I think that he's just going to, smooth on into his second year and even have a better season. He had 23 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. I think he's going to cut down and, learn from his mistakes and cut down the interceptions.
Yeah, and if we're going to talk about the Colts here, you got to talk about Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning didn't do that good his rookie year. They went like 3-13 his rookie year. So, and then next year they went like 13-3 or something. So, I mean, if he has that kind of improvement, we'll go undefeated. So that's fine by me. But
that's fine by me too.
Chuck Pagano's first full year after his battle with cancer. Do you think he's going to come out and continue to do what he did last year and have a powerful influence on the team?
Oh, yeah, I mean, Chuck always had an influence on his team, whether he was at Baltimore Ravens or like last year. Tragic circumstance, but either way, those are the ones that usually motivate the team the best, is when they have something worth fighting for, and that's what he gave them last year. I think they are going to carry the momentum this year, and he's going to be back for hopefully a full season, which means the guy that we actually hired is going to be the one coaching. So I think an improving season is what we're going to have next year.
Yeah, and unfortunately, due to the result of Chuck Pagano's absence, we did lose Bruce Arians, who won Coach of the Year last year, to the Cardinals. Do you think him not being there is going to affect the team negatively at all?
That's something that's going to remain to be seen this upcoming year. What they did, though, was add pieces to the offense that's really going to help them, with Darius Hayward-Bay, a speedy outside receiver to complement T.Y. Hilton and then Reggie Wayne, Reggie Wayne just seems to never age, still 105 receptions last year with 1,300 yards and 5 touchdowns. They also added Ahmad Bradshaw from the New York Giants, who is a bigger, stronger back, and he's really good at blocking. So he looks like to be an every down back, over the third down, have to pick up the blitzer. Ahmad Bradshaw is just going to plow him over. But also look for Vic Ballard to see some time too, but mostly Ahmad Bradshaw. What the Colts really need to cut down on is the running game, or their rush defense, and their turnovers. They were minus 12 in the turnover differential last year, and they gave up 2,200 rushing yards in a 5.1 average. So that's every 2 carries, it's first down. So that's something they need to cut down on.
Yeah, they definitely need to improve the defense, and hopefully bringing Bradshaw in will help the running game, because those are 2 big opponents that they need to fix if they want to challenge Texas or Houston for the division title. So that's all we got for Indianapolis, but next we're going to talk about the Tennessee Titans. All right, the next team we're going to talk about in the AFC South is the Tennessee Titans. They added safety Bernard Pollard and quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. You got any other additions, Ryan?
Yeah, Chris Johnson, if he shows up this year, but I don't know if he will.
Yeah, he wasn't too great last year, but they have the 26th ranked offense, 22nd in passing, 21st in rushing, and the 27th ranked defense. It's Mike Munchkin. I don't know how to say his last name. Munchkin. I was going to say Munchkin. I'm pretty sure that's wrong, but it's his third year. As you said, is Chris Johnson going to show up? Last year he had 1,243 yards, which is ninth in the league, but he only had 6 touchdowns, and his team sucked. So What do you think about the Titans this year, Ryan?
Really, they revolve around Chris Johnson, which is obvious. He, like you said, 1,200 yards, but I mean, it didn't feel like he had 1,200 yards. It was like you were sedated and it just, leaked in. He had 8 games of less than 60 yards, so half his games is where he got the bulk of the yardage. Really, the outcome of the season, I believe, is going to be on Jake Locker. Jake Locker is in my opinion, is in his final year of whether or not he's going to be the franchise quarterback for the Titans. He's, only played 11 games last year, 56 completion percentage, 10 touchdowns with 11 interceptions and 2 fumbles. And you can't win with a quarterback that throws more interceptions than touchdowns. They got Ryan Fitzpatrick to back him up, but ever since his big contract deal after he beat the Patriots, he has just been in a downward spiral, which is why the Buffalo Bills got rid of him.
Yeah.
The good thing for Tennessee Titans is they have Kendall Wright and Kenny Britt, who are two big two big wideouts on the corners that can make big plays.
Yeah, I think if Locker doesn't perform, Ryan definitely comes in, and I don't know if he helps that much, but I think he'll come in. I think they brought in Fitzpatrick to put more pressure on Locker, but they need more production on both sides if they're going to win in a pretty tough AFC South with Indianapolis and Houston, because that's 4 games right there. You're going to have a playoff-bound team probably, and then you have to also deal with the rest of the AFC. So, anything else before we move on to the next team, man?
Yeah, their defense was pretty much the worst in the league when it came to points given up. They allowed 29.4 points, and they also allowed a staggering 47 touchdown passes against them. Or not touchdown passes, but 47 touchdowns total against them, which was by and far the most in the league. And they also went 1-5 in the division last year. So, I mean, it's a tough division for them, and I don't see them being able to beat the Texans or the Colts. So.
Yep. Well, we got one more team left in the AFC South, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. So stay tuned. All right, welcome back. The last team we're going to talk about in the AFC South, and the last team in our whole AFC preview is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The conclusion. What a great team to end on, too, the Jaguars.
Yeah. Oh, they're so good. They're going to win it all this year.
Blaine Gabbert, MVP, early season calling it.
Yeah. Key additions for the Jacksonville Jaguars are none. They sucked last year, so they decided, let's suck this year, too, and add nobody. They're the 29th ranked offense. I mean, did you have any key additions, Ryan?
No, a key addition that left on the table was Tim Tebow. And when you're the Jaguars, why not try to sell tickets and try to sell merchandise? You know how much money they would have made if they brought Tim Tebow in? And who cares if they would have sucked? You got Blaine Gabbert, so you obviously don't care about winning.
As a Tebow fan, I almost bought his jersey when I was in Denver for my cousin's wedding just because it was Tim Tebow, but I don't know why they didn't add him. But last year they had the 29th ranked offense, 21st in passing, 30th in rushing, and the 30th ranked defense. MJD's back though, so that's positive, right?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have Maurice Jones-Drew in the lineup, you're going to be a strong running team. He's quick. He's built like a truck. He's tiny. He can get in those holes. But he did come off a foot injury, which sidelined him for a lot of the season last year. But obviously his foot's feeling pretty good since he was outside a club throwing bows. So maybe he can just throw the bows out on the field against some defensive backs.
Yeah, might get penalized for that, but whatever. Maybe they'll sell more tickets. But they did change the logo just like the other Florida team, the Miami Dolphins. So maybe they'll sell some more tickets or merchandise or something. I like the new logo.
That's the new thing. Yeah, you're bad, change your logo. Oakland Raiders are up next.
Yeah, they are due for one, I think. Their logo kind of looks old school. But do you think there'll be a quarterback battle here in Jacksonville, Blaine Gabbert or Chad Henne?
It all depends. Blaine Gabbert improved last year, but menially. I mean, accuracy improved quite a bit, up 8.5%, but touchdown to turnover ratio went from 1-1 to 3-2. So, it's not that big of an improvement, but, it is an improvement. One thing where he really did struggle was putting points up on the board. They only averaged 14.1 points when he was in the game, so that's not very good.
Yeah, and the Jacksonville Jaguars haven't been to the playoffs since 2007. Do they make the playoffs this year, Ryan?
No, I don't see the Jaguars making the playoffs. I don't see them making the consolation round if they had it. I don't even see them making 5 wins this year. They were 2-10 against the AFC last year, and considering that's the conference they're in, they're gonna have to play the same teams. So it's just gonna be, even worse. The good thing, the 2 shining stars on the offense besides MJD are Cecil Short and Justin Blackmon, who combined for over 1,800 yards and 12 touchdowns with 77 first downs. So those are some guys that have big play potential that the Jaguars are going to have to lean on.
Yeah. And this team has been struggling financially for a long time. Do you think if they don't do good this year that there might be talks about them moving them somewhere?
I'm not a big fan of the moving teams. It's kind of like in Seattle. You had what I thought was a great fan base in Seattle, and then they moved to Oklahoma City, and now they're, just all upset up there in Seattle. And then, they're talking about moving to England. This is the National Football League. This isn't the International Football League. We don't have teams in Toronto. We don't have teams in Edmonton. This is an American sport. It's for Americans. Why don't you go play your football over there in Manchester?
That was perplexed me, though, but why do we not have a team in Canada? The NBA has a team in Canada. The MLB has a team in Canada. The NHL has 6 teams in Canada. Why does the NFL have a team in Canada?
Have you seen the Canadian Football League? It's terrible.
But the American players playing in Canada. And if they have a football league, they're obviously interested in football, right? Or is it like hockey is to us in America?
They tried a European Football League. Do you not remember that? No one watched it. Wasn't any good. Granted, it wasn't NFL players, but, if it didn't, a whole league in England, or not in England, but in Europe doesn't take flight, I don't see how one team is. Not to mention, we're in a recession right now, and you're going to fly teams every week from or to England. That doesn't seem economical to me.
Yeah. Well, we got a little topic there, but we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about who we think is going to win the AFC South. So we wrap up our talk about the AFC South and our AFC preview with who we think is going to win the AFC South. So I'm going to take the reins here. I'm going to go first, and I think the Indianapolis Colts are going to win the AFC South. Last year they came one game short of winning the division, and I think they're going to pull through and get that one win and overtake and get their title back. Who do you think is going to win the AFC South?
I agree with you that the Indianapolis Colts are, a strong team and maybe a wild card team, but, Houston Texans in my mind have just a lot of athletes on their team. Matt Schaub is a very underrated quarterback who can just sling it around, and Andre Johnson, the big top wideout. Arian Foster, great running back. The defense, stout, and with the addition of Ed Reed, it just makes it better. Both teams benefit from playing the Jaguars and the Titans twice each, so that's a plus for them, but I just see the Houston Texans being able to pull it out.
Okay, so we agree on 2 of the 4 divisions. Just a quick recap before we say goodbye. Ryan and I both agree that Denver is going to win the AFC West. Ryan and I both agree that New England is going to win the AFC East. Ryan thinks Pittsburgh is going to win the AFC North, while I think Cincinnati is going to win it. And Ryan thinks that Houston is going to win the AFC South, while I think that Indianapolis is going to win. So, that wraps up our AFC preview. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. Retweet us. Send us emails.
Chirp, chirp.
Just do anything you can to get in contact with us. Tell all your friends. And be on the lookout for the NFC preview. Until next time.
On you ladies.
I'm Matt, Popcorn Knife Mahler.
I'm Ryan, Showtime Velasquez.
Thank you for watching SnPSports.
Deuces, bitches.